I'm Rubina Ahmed Haq, and this is the Alex Pierson Show. No matter who you talk to, the one major topic of conversation is housing in the city and across the province, and how expensive it has become to buy a home, whether it be a condo, a detached home, investment property. All these conversations really circle around how expensive it's become. And even with those higher interest rates, home prices have come down. But if you look back just 2-3 years, we are still seeing double-digit gains. And this is really prompting governments to step in to do something to make it easier for those who live in Ontario to actually buy real estate, get onto the property ladder. Today, Ontario is announcing it's going to raise the non-resident speculation tax. So this is people who buy homes that don't live in the province and are just speculating that the price of that home is going to go up, purchased by foreign nationals, from 20% to 25%. Is this really going to make a difference? Is this going to bring prices down to a level where those who actually need to live in this province, in this city, can afford to get on that property ladder? In many cases, in Toronto, if you want to buy an average priced home, if you're trying to avoid that CMHC insurance, you're looking at $200,000 down to get to that 20%, and that is a lot of money for a young person to save, especially as a first time home buyer. To talk about this and more, we're joined by Nicola St.John. She's a realtor with Bosley Real Estate. Hi, Nicola.
Hey, how are you, Rubina?
I'm doing really well, thanks. I wanted to get your reaction about this proposed tax to be raised from 20 to 25% of foreign home buyers' tax. Is it going to make any difference?
Well, I mean, that's a great question. I mean, sure, everything is connected. It's all a matter of opinion. But, I mean, when you're talking about, at first it was 15, the foreign buyer tax. It was 15%. So on $1 million purchase, that's $150,000. Then it went to 20, and now we're at 25 today. So $250,000 on $1 million home purchase. I mean, that is something. I mean, it's not, our foreign buying purchases are not everything. It's not our entire industry, but, it's really interesting that this just affected one of my sales this last week. I'll tell you about it if you like.
Yes, I would really love to hear, because this is the thing.
Yeah.
We talk about a foreign buyer's tax, and there's one camp that believes that, there's so few people that are actually buying who don't live in the province and speculating, that it's really individuals who are going in there with, well, not so much right now, but with those low interest rates and bidding more and more on homes. And that's what's driving prices up. And that this is just really a distraction to say, look, we're doing something over here. We're raising taxes on foreign buyers. But I want to hear how it actually does affect your business and individuals clients that you have.
Absolutely. So it's so interesting that this just happened to me 2 weeks ago. So I was selling a condo at the waterfront at 10 Yonge. And the last property, the very similar property, sold a month before. And it actually, I found out that it sold to a foreign buyer. And it sold above the market value, way above what anybody thought it would sell for. And then that became the market value of that condo. So my buyer came in to buy the condo and said, well, that was a foreign buyer. We don't want to pay that much. And I said, but now that's the market value. So now the market value has shifted from $150,000 under what it would have sold for to a foreign buyer that came in that doesn't really care that it's $150,000 higher than it's supposed to be, because they just need to park their money.
Interesting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely does make sense. Many times, I mean, if you think about it, if I'm going to go buy a house in England, it probably means I have deep pockets, right? I'm financially doing pretty well. And so a little bit of extra money to get it onto that property ladder is not going to make the difference. But right. Is this something that's repeating across the province? I mean, is this common? Are you hearing this commonly right now when it comes to real estate transactions?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think, I sell a lot of real estate. And so if you look at real estate situations where there are bidding wars and this certainly is happening in Toronto. I'm not sure. I do most of my work in Toronto, so I'm not really sure how this affects the rest of the province, but certainly the GTA, this is true for. And I think everything is connected. So, yeah, is it going to change our, is it going to change everything that's happening for us if we make the foreign buyer tax 25% instead of 20? Is that a political move? Maybe, but it's also economical. I mean, if the government can claw back a little bit of tax dollars, that helps. And we also get the idea that our government is working for us, trying to do something to help us stay in the market as people that actually do live here. And, you know, everything is what you see. So if you're living here and you are having trouble paying for your mortgage and having trouble buying a house and having trouble buying groceries, but you see that the government wants to step in and try and make it easier for you, well, we saw last night that how everybody voted was to keep the status quo.
Yeah. And the one thing that's interesting about this tax is that if a foreign buyer is coming into Canada to buy real estate, the Canadian dollar right now is weak against the US dollar. So they're already getting a discount coming to Canada to buy anything, right? And that includes homes. And so that factors into their financial decision because they're like, oh, the Canadian dollar is weaker. I can go in there with the same money from a year ago and get this house on discount. So that's something that doesn't really impact us here as residents of Ontario because it doesn't really matter where our Canadian dollar is at. We're still, you know, we're making Canadian dollars and paying in Canadian dollars, where that may be different from, say, an American who's coming in to buy a home in Canada, maybe, you know, thinking Toronto is a market that they want to buy in. I wanted to ask you, Nicola, just, you know, right now the housing market is, it's so unpredictable. It's for lack of a better way of putting it. You know, where are you seeing, you know, we're seeing these really, really extreme forecasts of the market going down another 20% because of higher interest rates. Where are you seeing things going in 2023?
So I really do feel like if you want a good description of what real estate is like right now, it's tornado real estate. You know, the tornado comes through and you don't know what's going to get hit and what's not. And it really is true like that. I have sold, 4 properties in the last month, and you just don't know. Is this going to go high? Is this going to go low? You know, is it, you know, there was a property that sold in the East End, just east of the DVP, that was listed at 1,599 that sold for 2,300.
My goodness.
That's just not things we were seeing before. You know, we haven't seen that for months, and now that's sort of starting to trickle back in. And then there's other places that you think will go for a lot that are listed at $999, and they just sit there for 3 weeks. So, you know, I do think people shouldn't be afraid. For sure, the condo market, condos are up by 4% this month. That's pretty great. If you're a buyer coming up in this year, I think you are in control of the market. You should be feeling like the king. That's not always going to be true, but there's definitely deals to be had, and buyers can sit and think about it way more than they used to be able to. It's been a seller's market for years. I don't think people need to be afraid. You know? Yeah,
and you know, and use that common sense when buying. Like, don't go into so much debt that, you know, you have to sacrifice everything in order to make your mortgage payments. But at the same time, you know, be sensible about the fact that you're going to be in this home for a long time and that prices do fluctuate. That's just the nature of real estate. Nicola, thank you so much for joining us today on the program and getting us up to date, especially on this foreign home buyers tax and what difference it could make.
Yeah, thanks for your interview.
That's Nicola St.John. She's a realtor with Bosley Real Estate. One thing I always tell people is do your own stress test. So whatever interest rate the bank is offering you, just go 1, 2, 3 percentage points higher. Can you still afford to pay that mortgage? It feels really aggressive right now considering how high interest rates are. But if you know you can pay it, then you feel comfortable when those interest rate announcements come out, knowing that you can still afford your mortgage. Yes, things may be financially tight, but you won't have to do anything in haste, like sell your home or do something dramatic to shore up that kind of cash.